Thank you everyone for your patience, and in the next, I think 25 odd minutes, we are going to talk about the internationalization of Indian higher ed institution. If you look at from a panel's point of view here, I've got people from the demand side, which is largely the testing organization, as well as from the supply side, we have got two new age universities representing us here, Shiv Nadar University and Ashoka, who are going to talk about their journey and all that. But before I get into that, let me just ensure that we introduce our panelist, Dr. Rajiv. He's from Shiv Nadar University. He's Dean as well as Dean Academics, as well as he's managing the entire admissions for Shiv Nadar University. Mr. Gaurav Srivastav, he's the Regional Director for South Asia, Middle East and East Asia at the Graduate Management Admission Council, the council which conducts GMAT exam globally. We have Mr. Sachin Jain. Again, he is Regional Director for India and South Asia for ETS, the organization which conducts GRE and TOEFL. We have got Anju Jairaj. She is the Director of Outreach at Ashoka University. And we have Minakshi. She is again South Asia and Central Asia head for College Board, the organization which conducts SAT exam and AP exam globally. So we have got three people on the panel who are representing the testing organization, GMAC, ETS and College Board. And we'll actually start this panel by going to Gaurav first. So Gaurav, my question to you is with respect to, the topic is internationalization of higher education, as all of us know. But what you have seen in your journey of last 15 years at the Graduate Management Admission Council, the use of GMAT, particularly for Indian universities, and how it has shaped up in ensuring that this Indian organization or Indian universities can be a representative in the global arena of GMAC.
Sure, Vikram. Firstly, thank you very much to you and the team at Meritto for inviting me here to be a part of this panel. In fact, Vikram used to be a part of the founding team for GMAC when we started back 15 years ago. So he, along with me and a few others, we started this journey. We started the India office for GMAC. But yeah, I think we've come a long way. And initially when we started, it was just a handful of schools that used to use the GMAT, and it was mostly used by the Indian School of Business, ISB, along with a couple of schools who would use it for international students. You know, a couple of applications would come from here and there. But we did realize that a good quality assessment was required. There was a demand from schools, and the demand was mostly around the fact that if the world's global top schools use the GMAT, why shouldn't we use it as well? And the fact that there was also a gap in the market for an exam which was a good standardized exam which offered much more candidate convenience. So that's how the journey began, and we started signing up schools, and literally it went from 15 to 30 to 50 to 60, and we are now at, you're right, more than 200 schools and programs use the GMAT. And what we've seen is that the score sending, that is something that we track, because when you write the exam, candidates send scores. 5 scores are free of cost, plus they can send scores to other programs. So seeing the tracking of scores, it's very heartening to see the fact that over the years, the number of scores that are being sent to Indian institutions have increased. And I think there are a couple of reasons for that. First and foremost, it's because the quality of education in India is only getting better with each passing year. It was always good, but it's evolving a lot. We are learning from the best. And I remember my time when I did my MBA, that was, I think, 25, 26 years ago. Compared to now, when I look at the state-of-the-art classrooms, the kind of infrastructure, the quality of the faculty, I think we are amongst the best. So definitely that has helped in more applications coming through international exams like GMAT to Indian B schools. And the other factor is the competitiveness that India today is showing to the rest of the world. Earlier, traditionally, most candidates for a quality education would look at the US, which is really the mecca and the hub for education, followed by countries like Canada, countries in Europe, Southeast Asia, Australia, and the others. But today, India's increasingly coming up in the map. I think there was an earlier gentleman in the last panel who talked about the fact that they don't even need to make an effort now to recruit international candidates. However, just to clarify, that is not the case for management education. that is, I think, for other streams. So, yeah.
Great, Gaurav. I think clearly 200 plus business schools accepting GMAT scores in India is truly a standard in terms of internationalizing the higher ed education, at least, aside of ISB. So I feel that that's a great achievement, at least from the lens of GMAC and your team. Going to Sachin, I know the test takers for GRE in India is now more than US. The test started in US. And more students are now writing GRE in India. Where are they going? Where are they applying? What kind of programs they are applying? And has the destination changed in terms of in last few years? What has been your observation in terms of data?
Sure, thanks, Vikram and Meritto for having me. There are a couple of layers. First and foremost, GRE is now 81st year of its circulation. So it started back in 1940s and still going strong. Yes, we did a remarkable feat in 22-23 test cycle, wherein for the first time in GRE's history, Indian test takers exceeded that of US. I think, if I remember correctly, it was around 113,000 Indian test takers who took GRE. Of the 400,000 plus test takers that we have globally. So roughly 25% of the test takers were from India. In terms of the aspiration, over the years, while US still remains a dominant destination country, but over the years, we have seen a transition from Big 4 to Big 10, as we call them. So there, if I were to put some numbers, if 10 years back, 80% of the students would be going to Big 4, now that number is probably 60%, and 40% students are going to remaining Big 6 countries, so to say. One thing that distincts between GRE and GMAT, my fellow and colleague Gaurav is mentioning, so GRE is a universal test across any domain. So I think that's what kind of stands out for GRE, not just for engineering, STEM, for management, law, liberal arts. Across any domain, GRE is accepted. And the reason is GRE doesn't accept or kind of test your skills in a specific program or a domain. It is a test of aptitude, whether as a graduate student, can you complete that program? So that's essentially it tests. So that's the reason the applicability and acceptability is much wider. What we have seen is, so one is the shift that I mentioned from Big 4 to Big 10. The second is shift from pure STEM, which was the case, I would say, 10 years back. So 10 years back, GRE would be largely STEM focused. Students who are looking for MS programs would be taking GRE from this part of the world and across the globe. But over the last 10 years, we have seen a shift wherein that number has shrunk from probably 90% to roughly 60-65%. It's very interesting that 25% of GRE test takers today happen to be management aspirants. I was reading some quotes wherein 41% of class of 24 at Harvard is through GRE. So that's what is happening. And the reason is, obviously, there is a hedge that students want to take today. They are not really clear whether they want to go for an MS or an MBA. So they take a GRE and they have that hedge to kind of decide later on whether they want to take which program or which graduate program they want to pursue, probably a year or two down the line. I think the third thing that's kind of working, and I agree with Gaurav in terms of institutions increasingly looking at in India, looking at standardized testing. ISB is obviously I would say, at the pole position wherein they took that call, but increasingly, like Gaurav mentioned about 200 institutions, close to 100 programs, MBA programs in India except GRE. But if I were to kind of share that with the audience, and to your question in terms of what can we do to internationalize. Now, it's for graduate programs across all domains. And it is for institutions to kind of assess whether they want to use GRE scores for admission to your MS programs, to your high research-oriented MS programs, for your management, for your law programs. So I think GRE offers a very unique proposition to look at students across the globe who may be interested in pursuing a program at your university. So that's what I would say that, and there are search services of GRE test takers that you can look at in terms of marketing your graduate programs, at your institution graduate programs to some such institutions, to students, because obviously the quality is at par. At the same time, the cost is much lower. And that's what is one of the key reasons why students are shifting from Big 4 to Big 10. So that's how I see that use GRE, GMAT kind of scores like what, and those test takers to really pitch to them in terms of your programs, your graduate programs, to really internationalize your cohort, because that's important for us to kind of really become a kind of a institution which has got different diversity in the student cohorts as well.
So in terms of, if you look at it largely the demand side, Gaurav said, or the number states from GMAT's lens, I think 33% of global GMAT test takers are from India. 25% of GRE test takers globally are from India. Now let us look at from an SAT lens, go to Meenakshi and understand that College Board established the India Global Higher Education Alliance in India.
With you.
And I think that the SAT numbers are also from an India lens are the whole time high. So from that lens, if you look at it, that demand side students are taking GMAT, GRE and SAT from India. Gaurav clarified that majority of them obviously are taking it for the other region, but India also play a very big important role in terms of access, where 200 odd institutions accept GMAT in India. And Sachin's lens is largely on the other side with respect to global destinations. Meenakshi, what has been your learning with respect to SAT? And I know that Ashoka, Shiv Nadar, they use SAT very deeply. So what has been your experience, and where do you see the globalization or internationalization of Indian universities happening with respect to using the standardized testing?
So first of all, Vikram, congratulations for a great launch. I thought the Mio character of yours got a much more grander welcome than Salman Khan in Bollywood. So congratulations to your entire team. So the SAT has been like Vikram said, is growing in India. But I would like also to talk about when we say internationalization. So till years back, SAT was only used by Indian students to go abroad for higher education. But now we have Ashoka, we have Shiv Nadar, we have Flame, we have Bennett, we have OP Jindal. We have so many of you who are already sitting here, and many prospective also here, I can see. So they're also using SAT for local use to give admissions into their undergrad programs. How does it help a student? We always say SAT is a global passport for higher education. We say one test, many universities. So it helps a student because a student does not have to go to every institute and give an entrance exam. The student can give one SAT, and whether the student wants to go abroad or to study in India, that score remains valid. And that remains valid for a few years. So even if the student takes it in grade 10, 11 or 12, they can still show the scores to the university. At College Board, we believe a lot in access and equity. So if a student who is under the annual income of, let's say, 8 lakh of rupees per annum, we give 90% of discount to that student so that he or she can appear for the SAT exam. We generally otherwise do not give any discounts. It's only a need-based discount in this case. So that's how we help giving access to a student that irrespective of your family income, don't be tense, go and take the SAT exam. And if you get more than 1300 plus score, then institutes like Shiv Nadar, Ashoka also have partnered with us for a program called as India Scholars Program, where a student can get 100% of tuition fee waiver if they get into these institutes with a 1300 plus score and a family income of less than 8 lakh. So that's how we are trying to build our base also in India and to help the students in India as well. The second lens I want to have is the institutes in India can also get SAT test takers from around the world. And that's a good talent to have in. So India definitely is a large pool of SAT test takers, but so is Middle East. And I'm sure most of the institutes are eyeing on Middle East to get students from there. So is Africa. So is Vietnam. And so is Nepal as well, which is my own territory. So why not use, Sachin spoke about search, even Gaurav. So that's a similar term that we use in SAT as well. We have a search tool that can be accessed by universities across the world. And people, the students who give opt-in, they are there and only their names and email addresses are shared. So students can, institutes can definitely use this search tool to get a good talent pool of undergrad students from across the world who want to study in India. So we have seen it increasing. We have also seen students sending the SAT score sends to Indian universities from US and other countries. And I can also repeat the names again. It's going to the IITs, but it's also going to Ashoka. It's also going to Flame. It's also going to Treya, Bennett. So these are universities who already get students from overseas, not just US, but other countries as well. Middle East being the largest of all. Thank you.
So clearly from a demand side, Indian students are writing all sorts of exams to get into universities across the board. But let's hear the perspective from the university side. Dr. Rajiv, sir, what are the institutional shifts which you can see, which is needed to support deeper internationalization in India? We have got new age universities like Shiv Nadar, like Ashoka, Plaksha, Bennett, OP Jindal. They have come up and they are doing a fabulous job. But what do you think is missing to bring in more and more international students to India?
So, am I audible? Yeah. So, institutions like Shiv Nadar are doing some tremendous work to bring the, the research at the fore. And I would say that international students, when they come to India or any other country, they look at a couple of things. First, very high quality faculty. Second, high quality research infrastructure, good residence and safety, right? And if the institution can ensure some of those aspects where the faculty is global, the classroom experience is tremendous, the research infrastructure is outstanding, then they can actually come and experience a different culture but get the same level of education that they otherwise have been getting at those places. And at Shiv Nadar, we have actually done the same thing. Most of the faculty that we have global experiences. The kind of lab infrastructure, research facilities that we have created is at par with any top universities of the world. We have a tremendous sports facility. It's a residential university, and the residence quality, the classroom quality is at par with any university that you would have visited. So when we look at internationalization, we are looking at both ways transfer from India, that is SNU, to any other country, as well as their students coming and visiting us. Just last year, there were a group of students from UPenn who were PhD students who actually spent a week with us and spend their time with faculty, with students, interacting, understanding the culture, understanding the context in which we operate, and also looking at many of the sister concerns that we are working with. Just a couple of days back, even in Ashoka, they went there. There were a group of students from NYU, Abu Dhabi, who spent a day with us. So why are they coming? Because they now understand that there is a very rich cultural heritage, highly technical, ability in our faculty and students. And India is growing by leaps and bounds as we see today. So there is tremendous opportunity in terms of job. So as we know, in the demographic dividend that we have in this country, I think the institutions like ours are really, needed to take advantage of that and showcase the talent that we have in this country to the rest of the world. We will we will actually become a pinnacle of education for rest of the world to follow. We already know what's happening in US, what's happening in Australia, and all these universities are trying to come here because there is real talent pool and there is hunger for learning. There's a hunger for learning in our students, and I think institutions like ours need to really make sure that we have the right ingredients to feed that hunger.
Clearly, I think Anju, if you can throw a light a bit on Ashoka has been kind of compared as, or in, if I have to put it in block letters, Harvard of East. Such a young university.
We're not thinking that, you're thinking that. I didn't say that, you said that. Yes.
I've been reading about it. And what do you think that what has worked in favor of Ashoka that in such a short stint, your brand has become so international that people are talking about it?
I think it's our commitment to excellence right from day one. If you look at the founders at Ashoka, and I was talking to some of them a while back, we were going, by the stories of what happened, the first discussion when you decided to start off Ashoka as well. And the question was always that we want to build this. There was a time about 2,500 years back when an institution like a Nalanda or a Takshashila hosted 10,000 students from across the world for an interdisciplinary education in India, right? But we don't know what happened to that after such a long time. So if we want to revive it, then there is, if someone can do it, it's only us who can do it. And that commitment to excellence has been there from day one, whether it be diversity, whether it is accessibility. In fact, just today in the afternoon, I think around 12 o'clock, the INLACS, the very prestigious INLACS scholarship, the list was released, and there are 7 students across the entire country who've been awarded an INLACS scholarship for their master's programs. 2 of them happen to be from Ashoka. And we're very happy with the way that the students do it. It's similar to the fact that even if I'm hosting a very short-term program, I'm not looking at the undergrad right now, even if I look at my Lodha Genius program, which is a program for high school students. We've hosted 2 Nobel laureates just this month to come in and interact with the students. So I think that commitment to excellence is very core to us. It is reflective in each and every aspect of our campus, whether it's the residential way or the way that we do, we conduct our studies. We announced the launch of the Havel School of Management sometime early this year. We've not yet told people whether we're launching majors this year or next year because we want to be sure that we have everything in place. And I think that kind of commitment is, I won't say we've been fortunate, but then I think we've been very successful in ensuring that every year, as the institution has grown, whether it's faculty, whether it's academic staff, whether it's non-academic staff or the students, we understand that the onus of giving quality education from India lies on us. So if I'm looking at accessibility, just last year, 2024, we awarded financial aid scholarships worth 100 crore rupees for students only in the last year's intake. 48 of those students were first-time college goers from various parts of the country. So we're not saying that, you have to have like a big pocket size to come in and afford Ashoka. You can be anyone. Your intent needs to be very good. Your intent has to be that you want to do something impactful. You are curious enough to go through a 4-year education. We'll ensure that we make it through. So I think that commitment is what has kept us alive and kicking, and hopefully we get a formal, credible somewhere that, we are not called the Harvard of the world. Maybe Harvard can be called the Ashoka of the world. I don't know. I'm not being delusional, just aspiring it to be.
I think what we are seeing in the world today, there's a lot of uncertainty, policy changes, largely in US where the supply of university is very high and they can absorb the demand of students in that country. I think India is another country which can actually have a good supply, can bring in a lot of talent from outside, but we have a lot of impediments in India to bring in talent from outside. So one point for each panelist, if you can put one point that what are the things which we should do as Indian institutions or Indian government to ensure that we get a lot of talent from outside India. And I can start with Gaurav. One point which you think that anyone, be it us, universities, government, who can do to make this change so that more and more talent can come to India?
Sure. And I think one of the most important things, the first step that should be taken is all Indian schools should get together, create a consortium, and speak to the Ministry of Education, External Affairs Ministry, that you need to offer visas to students to be allowed to work after they complete the program. Today, our students go to France because they get a 5-year work visa, UK 2-year work visa. But in India, when an international student comes, they can't work. So I think that's one basic thing that you need to set right. It's mentioned in the new education policy as well. So I think the visa is one important part where schools have to get together and make a representation to please offer at least a 1 to 2 year work permit to international students pursuing a program in India.
Sure. Sachin, one point.
I think what Gaurav mentioned is very true. Students don't go outside to study. Students go outside to study and then work. And wherever there is a disruption in the post-study work regimes, we have seen traffic patterns changing. So I completely agree with Gaurav that, and this is what we can offer, to work and have the experience immerse in the fastest growing economy of the world. It's where the innovation is happening. So I think I agree with Gaurav there. I think the second thing is, we also need to kind of remove those barriers of entry. Now, don't expect an international student to take a gate or a CAT to get admitted to an Indian institution. And when an Indian institution can be admitted based on GMAT or GRE to a MIT or a Harvard, but we don't do that. So I think we have to kind of review if we really want to internationalize our campuses. Because we have the entire value prop. What we are missing is that how do we really attract that talent into Indian institutions?
Anju?
I think more collaboration. If you look at the last year's numbers, there is only 7.6 lakh students who went abroad last year. And 75% of them for postgrad education. So it's not that we have a big number of students who's going abroad, but now with there are 5 universities that have gotten a letter of intent to come set up. Southampton is already there, Deakin is already there, Belfast is already there. So I think we have a lot of opportunity to collaborate with each other and work through, provide solutions which are much more global. We shouldn't really restrict ourselves with the typical Indian crab mentality, ki mera bachcha, tumhara bachcha. We can't do that. So I think we have to ensure that the student is at the center of it and we give them the flavor of India as a soft power as it is right now and not others.
Meenakshi?
Sachin echoed what I wanted to say. So the entry barriers should be low, but get a quality student, but get a quality student through standardized tests, whether it's SAT or any other, and through advanced placement courses that they usually do in their own home country, and they get credits for that. So similarly, Indian universities should start accepting that.
Dr. Rajiv?
I think I'll just echo the same thing. It's very important that we come together as institutions and, either form a consortium or some way we go together to the ministry. Even when we go outside to represent individual institutions to different countries, I think we should go as a group. The impact would be far more and deeper, and I think this would definitely change the way others see India and Indian institution as a destination for higher learning.
So I think we'll end the panel here. Anju, to your point, I just wanted to say that there are 15 institutions which they've got approval to set up their campuses or offer their programs in India. I don't think that to that extent they are going to bring in students from outside. They are going to eat from the same pie what we have. So that jury, I think, is something which we'll discuss at later point in time, for sure.
At least it puts us on the global map.
That I agree, totally.
Rather than people looking
if they offer same kind of faculty, same kind of curriculum which they
Absolutely.
are offering,
And
it
that's
will
the
put us in a
commitment to
global
excellence
map.
that we'll have to look at and not let India be the land of snake
I
charmers and
agree.
fakirs all the time.
So we'll
Yeah.
end this panel here. Thank you so much, all the panelists. I appreciate it. I know that it was a bit short. I could have asked a couple of more questions which are there in my mind, but I know I'm standing in between drinks and dinner, and all 6 of us are standing in between drinks and dinner. So thank you so much for your time. Appreciate you coming all the way and spending time.